What happens when one of the most celebrated athletes in history, a man who's conquered the highest peaks of professional sports, is faced with a quiet tragedy unfolding within his own family, one he never saw coming? Tom Brady, the legendary quarterback whose life has been defined by discipline, precision, and resilience, recently confronted a heart-wrenching truth. His own brother had been silently starving, struggling in isolation, while Tom was busy breaking records at Gillette Stadium and leading the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to another Super Bowl at Raymond James Stadium. For years, the Brady family appeared to be the picture of strength and unity. Tom, the youngest of 4 siblings, often spoke of the deep bonds he shared with his family. But beneath the surface, in the shadows of his immense success, one of his closest confidants was suffering in silence, too proud to ask for help, too isolated to reach out. When Tom finally discovered what had been happening, his reaction wasn't just a private act of brotherly love. It became a story that moved millions, reminding us all that even the most accomplished among us are not immune to the hidden struggles within our own families. In this video, we'll take you through this deeply personal and emotional journey, from Tom's early days as a kid in San Mateo, through his rise to NFL greatness in New England and Tampa Bay, and ultimately to the quiet moment that redefined how he viewed family, success, and compassion. Stay with us until the end, because what you're about to hear may change how you see Tom Brady forever. This is more than a story about football. It's about the ties that bind us, the pain we sometimes fail to notice, and the transformative power of showing up when it matters most. Growing up in San Mateo, California, Tom Brady was the youngest of 4 siblings in a close-knit family. His older brother, Jack, was the one he always looked up to. Jack wasn't just Tom's big brother, he was his role model, his protector, and often his first competitor. The Brady household was filled with laughter, sports, and the usual sibling rivalries, but through it all, there was a deep bond forged in those formative years. While Tom pursued football, Jack took a different path, one less glamorous but equally demanding. He worked in education, dedicating his life to helping underprivileged children in the Bay Area. For years, Tom admired Jack's commitment and selflessness. But as Tom's own career skyrocketed, first at the University of Michigan, then with the New England Patriots at Gillette Stadium, the brothers' lives began to diverge. Despite their physical distance, Tom always believed they were emotionally close. Family gatherings during the holidays, calls after big games, and inside jokes maintained their connection. But what Tom didn't realize was that Jack was quietly struggling. The economic downturn had hit Jack's school hard. Funding cuts led to job insecurity, and personal health issues added to his burden. But like many proud individuals, Jack kept his struggles hidden, not wanting to burden his family, especially not his brother, who already carried the weight of public expectations and professional pressures. As Tom was leading the Patriots to yet another Super Bowl victory, unaware, Jack was quietly skipping meals to stretch his dwindling resources. For Tom, who was celebrated for his ability to read defenses and anticipate plays on the field, the signs of his brother's suffering were tragically invisible off the field. Looking back, Tom would later reflect on how easy it is to miss the silent struggles of those closest to us, especially when we assume that strength and pride mean they're doing fine. This realization of how little he truly knew about his brother's daily battles would become a turning point not just for Tom as a brother, but as a man. Tom Brady had always prided himself on being attentive to the people he loved, especially his family. But as his NFL career accelerated, time became his most precious and scarce commodity. Between grueling practices at Gillette Stadium, film sessions, travel for away games, and countless media obligations, even a simple phone call to his brother Jack became increasingly rare. Looking back, Tom would admit there had been subtle signs, missed family gatherings, shorter and more guarded conversations, Jack's increasingly vague responses about his life and work. "Everything's fine," Jack would say, quickly changing the subject to ask about Tom's latest game or to congratulate him on his latest victory, like the unforgettable comeback against the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl LI. To Tom, these moments felt like typical exchanges between busy adults living in different worlds. But in reality, Jack was slowly retreating, both emotionally and financially. Pride and fear kept him silent. He didn't want to be seen as the brother who needed help from the most successful quarterback in NFL history. Meanwhile, Tom's public persona only grew. After leaving New England for Tampa Bay, he achieved yet another improbable triumph, leading the Buccaneers to a Super Bowl victory at Raymond James Stadium. Millions of fans celebrated him, commentators debated his legacy, and brands sought his endorsement. Yet, amid all this adulation, Tom's own brother was quietly suffering, rationing groceries, missing meals, and battling both economic hardship and profound loneliness. It wasn't until a casual conversation with their sister Maureen that Tom finally sensed something wasn't right. "Have you talked to Jack recently?" she asked during a holiday call. "He doesn't sound like himself." That question lingered in Tom's mind. For all his success, he realized that he hadn't truly connected with Jack in months. That night, sitting in his Tampa Bay home, Tom couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. His instincts, so honed for reading defenses on the field, were now telling him that something was wrong in his own family. Determined to find out, he dialed Jack's number. When the call went straight to voicemail, Tom's concern deepened. He sent a simple text. "Hey bro, everything good?" The reply, when it finally came, would change everything. Hours after sending that text, Tom Brady finally received a response. It was short and uncharacteristically vague. "I'm fine, just been dealing with some stuff. We'll catch up soon." But Tom knew his brother too well. That terse message only fueled his concern. Unable to shake the feeling, Tom called their sister Maureen back. "Have you seen Jack lately?" he asked. She hesitated. "Not in person, but he sounds tired, worn out." That was all Tom needed to hear. Determined to get answers, Tom rearranged his schedule and flew back to San Mateo, California. No press, no fanfare, just a brother going home. When he arrived at Jack's modest apartment, the reality was even worse than he'd feared. The fridge was nearly empty, cabinets bare, and Jack, who had always been robust and energetic, looked thinner and more frail than Tom had ever seen him. "What's going on, Jack?" Tom asked, his voice thick with emotion. Jack tried to brush it off. "You know how it is, tough times." But Tom pressed further, and the truth finally came out. Jack had lost his job months ago due to school budget cuts. His savings had run out, and pride kept him from asking for help. He'd been skipping meals, rationing what little he had, and isolating himself from family out of shame. Hearing this broke Tom's heart. For a man who had spent his life overcoming obstacles on the field, from being drafted 199th overall to becoming a 7-time Super Bowl champion, this was the kind of challenge he couldn't prepare for. It wasn't about competition or strategy. It was about connection, vulnerability, and being present when it mattered most. Tom reached out, embraced his brother tightly, and said, "You're not alone, Jack. Not now. Not ever." In that moment, the walls of pride and fear that had kept Jack isolated finally crumbled. It was a turning point for both of them, a moment of reconnection forged not through success, but through empathy and unconditional love. After that emotional conversation, Tom Brady knew that words alone wouldn't be enough. His brother needed immediate help and long-term support. Used to taking decisive action on the field, Tom now applied that same focus and determination off it. The very next morning, Tom arranged for a full stock of groceries to be delivered to Jack's apartment. He also hired a nutritionist to help his brother regain his health, ensuring that his recovery was not only swift, but sustainable. But Tom didn't stop there. He quietly set up a financial support system to cover Jack's rent and expenses until he could get back on his feet. True to his nature, Tom made sure that everything was handled discreetly, without public attention or fanfare. For Tom, this wasn't about being a hero, it was about being a brother. At the same time, Tom took a hard look at his own priorities. For years, he had dedicated himself to football with near-military precision, early mornings at Gillette Stadium, relentless film study, grueling off-season regimens. But this experience with Jack reminded him that success means little if it comes at the expense of the relationships that matter most. Tom began carving out more time for his family, scheduling regular visits and phone calls. He also quietly increased his philanthropic efforts, supporting food security programs both in the Bay Area and in Tampa Bay, where he had found a new home and fan base. For Tom, helping Jack wasn't a one-time gesture. It was a wake-up call, a reminder that even those closest to us can be silently struggling. And that showing up for family isn't about grand gestures, but about consistent, compassionate presence. This experience would shape how Tom approached not only his personal life, but also his final years in the NFL and beyond, grounding him in what truly mattered. As Jack's health and stability steadily improved, Tom Brady found himself reflecting deeply on the meaning of success. For years, his life had been defined by numbers: passing yards, touchdowns, Super Bowl rings. From the icy fields of Gillette Stadium to the sun-drenched sidelines of Raymond James Stadium, he had built a legacy that few athletes could ever match. But now, sitting quietly with his brother in the familiar surroundings of their childhood neighborhood in San Mateo, Tom realized that none of those accolades compared to moments like this: reconnecting, listening, simply being there. During one visit, Jack said something that stayed with Tom. "You've always been the strong one, the fighter. But you didn't have to fight this time. You just had to notice." Those words hit Tom hard. For a man trained to anticipate blitzes and dissect defensive schemes with surgical precision, it was humbling to recognize how easily he had missed the personal struggles of someone he loved. He thought about all the times he'd been celebrated for his vision on the field, how commentators praised his ability to read defenses, to see what others couldn't. Yet here, in real life, he'd been blind to a battle waged silently by his own brother. This realization prompted Tom to become even more intentional about how he showed up for the people in his life. He began setting boundaries around his professional commitments, ensuring that his family relationships weren't relegated to the sidelines. In interviews, Tom often spoke about his love for football, but he also started to emphasize the importance of balance. "Football's been my passion," he told one reporter, "but family, that's my foundation." The experience with Jack also inspired Tom to speak more openly about mental health and the hidden struggles that so many face, regardless of status or success. He partnered with local organizations in both Boston and Tampa Bay, supporting initiatives aimed at reducing food insecurity and providing resources for those too proud or too isolated to ask for help. For Tom, the journey wasn't just about helping Jack. It was about redefining what it means to be successful, not just as an athlete, but as a brother, a father, and a man. Although Tom Brady never intended for his efforts to help Jack to become public, word eventually spread. A neighbor, unaware of the full context, had seen Tom visiting Jack's apartment frequently and mentioned it in a local community group. Soon, whispers of the story made their way to regional media outlets. Before long, headlines appeared. "Tom Brady quietly supports brother through hard times. The GOAT shows his heart off the field." When asked about it in a post-game interview, Tom was characteristically humble. "Family's everything to me," he said. "I've been lucky to have the support of my family my entire career. When someone you love is hurting, you help. That's just what you do." The story resonated far beyond the sports world. Fans and non-fans alike were moved by Tom's quiet compassion. Letters poured in from people sharing their own experiences of reconnecting with estranged family members, of realizing that even those who seem strong can be struggling silently. The narrative cut through the usual noise of stats and championships, reminding the public that beneath the helmet and pads was a man deeply committed to those he loved. Non-profit organizations across New England and Florida reported increased donations and volunteer interest, crediting the Brady story for inspiring people to take action in their own communities. But for Tom, the real reward wasn't the public admiration or the headlines. It was seeing his brother healthy, smiling again, and re-engaged with life. It was knowing that their bond, once frayed by time and distance, had been strengthened through vulnerability and compassion. This chapter in Tom's life would stand as one of his most meaningful victories, a testament to the simple, profound power of showing up when it matters most. In the end, Tom Brady's response to his brother's silent struggle became a story about far more than football. It was about humanity, empathy, and the quiet victories that don't make highlight reels but change lives forever. For Tom, this experience deepened his understanding of what it truly means to be successful. Not just breaking records or winning championships, but recognizing and responding to the needs of those closest to you, even when the signs are subtle. Jack, now healthy and thriving, often speaks about how his brother's support saved him, not just materially, but emotionally. "Tom didn't just help me eat again," Jack once said. "He reminded me that I wasn't alone." And for Tom, that was the real triumph, a victory beyond the field, beyond the Super Bowl rings and MVP trophies, a victory of heart. This story, shared quietly and without intention of fame, moved millions and left an indelible mark on all who heard it. Because at the core of Tom Brady's legendary career is not just an athlete's will to win, but a brother's unwavering love. Tom Brady's journey has long been a testament to resilience, discipline, and greatness. But this story reveals a side of him that often remains hidden behind the roar of stadium crowds and the glitter of championship rings. The brother, the son, the man who understands that success means nothing if we forget to care for those closest to us. From the fields of Gillette Stadium to the shores of Tampa Bay, Tom built a legacy unmatched in the NFL. Yet, in quietly supporting his brother through one of life's harshest battles, he demonstrated that true greatness lies not in public accolades, but in private acts of love and compassion. His experience with Jack serves as a reminder to all of us to pause, to look closer at the people we hold dear, and to never assume that strength means someone isn't struggling. Often, the most profound acts of heroism are not performed under bright lights, but in quiet rooms, through simple gestures of presence and care. So, what do you think was Tom Brady's most defining moment? Was it one of his legendary Super Bowl victories, or was it this, an act of brotherly love that moved millions? If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a reminder about the power of family and compassion. And don't miss our next video, where we'll explore another incredible story that proves how resilience can change everything.